Okay, today we're going to continue on with our class on body image. You should have left off yesterday with managing your appropriate weight in the student text. Okay, from that reading, you should have learned true or false. If you want to get serious about losing weight, you should skip meals. Is that true or false? And that is false. You should have learned that by skipping meals, it does alter your metabolism and it really doesn't help you. You go into starvation mode and your body starts conserving the calories, starts not burning the calories. The basal metabolic rate measures how many calories you burn when you're doing nothing. This measurement is ultimately used in figuring out how energetic you are, how lazy you are, how many calories a day you should consume, if your current weight is appropriate for your height and age. And if you did the reading, you know that the answer is C. Ultimately, we know how many calories a day you should consume. And we will do an exercise later to figure that out. The formulas for the basal metabolic rate consider weight, and is it height and age, height and body frame, height, gender and body frame, or height, gender, and age. And if you looked at the formula, you'll know that the answer to that is D, height, gender, and age. The Harris-Benedict equation is accurate in predicting the amount of daily calories you need. It is less accurate for people who are very muscular or very underweight, very muscular or very overweight, very weak or very overweight, very muscular and very overweight. And in the reading, you should have seen that it said it was for the B, very muscular and very overweight. It doesn't do as good of a job of predicting the calories you're burning because of the lean muscle or the excessive weight. True or false? Muscle mass helps burn calories. And the answer to that is true. Muscle will burn more calories than fat. Your body requires more calories to maintain that muscle. A lack of sleep can affect your weight. It can also increase your risk for dehydration, diabetes, infection, or influenza. And we saw that in the studies. It was diabetes. If they did, I think University of Utah showed people that went like 8 days of sleep deprivation started showing the early signs of diabetes. So sleep is critical. To increase your metabolic rate, you should drink less water and avoid fasting, drink more water and avoid fasting, drink less water and fast for 3 to 4 days, drink more water and fast for 3 to 4 days. And the answer to that is B. You're going to drink more water, proving that it helps your metabolism. And of course, we talked earlier, avoid the fasting because it puts your metabolism rate down, puts your body into survival mode. Okay, continue on figuring out the number of calories you should consume. And you will do this exercise. I've got to post it up on It's Learning. It just simply goes through, asks your height, your weight, and your age, and you'll calculate how many calories you're burning. Also, it'll determine based off of your activity level. So it's a good exercise, and it is in there for you to do. Okay, we're not going to do presentations because you're not in class, so you won't be able to compare, what you thought and what you learned on that. But you will all be able to reflect individually on that when you do the exercise. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about eating disorders. And what do you know about them? We're going to go through a couple different ones, explain them to you. Okay, an eating disorder is typically an obsession. It's an emotional state in which something seems so important that you're always thinking about it. If someone, like they say that those pictures there, I'm saying I'm too fat. Food is my enemy. I eat too much. I got to get rid of it. I don't want this food in my stomach because it's going to make me get fat. It becomes an obsession. And we want to identify these so that we're aware of them and try to avoid the traps of potentially having these sort of obsessions. Okay, the first one is anorexia nervosa. And that's really an intense fear of gaining weight. And that's where a person They can look in that mirror and they've got a very distorted image of their body, where they may be extremely thin and anorexic thin, and they'll see fat. They'll see not, and this is an obsession. It's a mental, disorder. It's a refusal to maintain a normal body weight and a refusal to eat or have eating patterns that tightly restrict food intake. And that's anorexia nervosa. Okay, the risks of anorexia nervosa include malnutrition, proven that the organs shrink. You got bone loss, low blood pressure, slower metabolisms, and then ultimately it starts affecting your heart rate. And people who have extreme anorexia nervosa and have to be hospitalized, potentially can die from cardiac arrest. It's a very serious illness and could require treatment in a hospital or a clinic. So, bulimia nervosa, that's where you're doing regular binge eating, and it says at least a rate of 2 per week for months. And then these binges are followed by the purging or strict dieting, excessive exercise to prevent the weight gain. It will use self-induced vomiting or the laxatives to get the food through your system as quickly as possible. Also an obsession with weight and body shape. Okay, the risks of bulimia nervosa is once again the same as malnutrition, and then also from the vomiting would be the stomach acids. They'll damage your teeth, your throat, your mouth tissues from the acid. Potential also for a stomach rupture from the vomiting, and if they're using the laxatives to get the food through the system, eventually that's going to lead to kidney and liver damage. Okay, the binge eating disorder is eating large amount of foods in a relatively short period, whether you're hungry or not, and it's typically at least twice a week. And occasionally we've all probably binge eaten by accident, but this is continuously doing it, and it's just eating until you feel overly full, eating a large amount of food when you're alone, or eating those personal comfort foods a lot, the cookies, the ice creams, and other foods you find especially pleasurable during your excessive eating. So that's the binge eating disorder. Often people who suffer that, they experience the depression of doing that. They know they shouldn't have done it. They've got the guilt and the shame. There's some other unhealthy eating behaviors. You've got the compulsive overeating. It's the feeling the need to eat constantly and quickly. Even when you're full, you're just always wanting to eat. It's often involves snacking around the clock instead of just eating your meals at a set time. Also, you've got the extreme dieting, and that's pretty dangerous with all these diet schemes that are out there. I'm sure you've heard about them. You see them all over the internet. And it's dieting and weight loss that becomes obsession focused on each bite of food, to pound a shed of weight. While, an extreme dieter is not losing enough weight to have anorexia nervosa, when you get into that state, you're more likely to developing anorexia nervosa. It could lead to that. So people have to be very careful when they get into the extreme dieting. They're so obsessed and focused on losing every pound. And then eventually it could become so obsessive and compulsive and that you develop that anorexia nervosa. Okay, people that have eating disorders, are potentially life-threatening, and they should seek professional help. And they should be, if you have friends that were doing it, you should encourage them to seek professional help. Okay, people who suffer from blank are at risk of damaging their teeth as well as the tissues in their throat. We talked about that. Is that anorexia nervosa, binge eating, bulimia nervosa, or compulsive eating? And of course, if you remembered what we just said, it's C, the bulimia, that deals with the vomiting. Nervosa, C. Repeated use of laxatives can damage the blood pressure, the kidneys and liver, the metabolism, or the kidneys and heart. And we just talked about that. That was B, the kidneys and livers. If you have a friend who you believe has an eating disorder, you should try to solve the problem yourself, guide your friend to seek professional help, treat your friend to desserts at your home, or tell your friends that he or she is really skinny, and obviously C and D are wrong. You would guide them to seek professional help. Okay, think about your own body image. We'll talk a little bit about that. We're not going to do the exercise. There is a body image exercise that goes through and asks you questions, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to do the team feedback because we can't share what you learned. So, okay, that gets us to the end of this block of instruction. We'll go through some of the keywords and questions to wrap things up, and you will see these on the quiz, so pay attention. Blank is an eating disorder characterized by self-starvation leading to extreme weight loss. Is that bulimia nervosa, BMI, anorexia nervosa, or BMR? And that would be anorexia nervosa. Blank is a measurement that shows how many calories you burn when you're doing nothing. Is that the body mass index, the basal metabolic rate, empty calories, or the resting caloric rate? And that was in our class today. That's the basal metabolic rate, and that'll be in the exercise that you'll be doing. The ratio of body fat to lean body tissue, such as bone, muscle, and fluid, is called body image, body mass, body composition, or body fitness. And that was in our class the day prior. And that would be body composition. Body image is the way others describe you, photographic representation of the way you look, the way you see your physical self, or reflection in the mirror. And the body image is C, the way you see your physical self. Body mass index is a measurement that allows you to assess your body size by taking your blank into account. Was it just your height, weight, and age? Or was it height, weight, and body frame? Or height, weight, and exercise level? And from the formula, you know that was height and weight. Just for the BMI, body mass index. Bulimia nervosa is an eating disorder in which a person eats large amounts of food and feels guilty and shameful about it, uses laxatives or vomits to purge the food, eats the same food over and over again, or drinks excessive amounts of water. We've just talked about that. And that's bulimia nervosa, is where you use laxatives or vomit to get rid of the food. Okay, in your reading, you learned about food with empty calories. The food with empty calorie contains that 0 calories, less than 10 calories, calories that are not absorbed by the body, or calories with little nutritional value. And empty calories they bring little nutritional value, but they bring just calories. So a lot of the junk foods you're eating, really not any nutrition that you're getting out of it, but you are getting those calories, and so they're empty calories. And that can lead to weight gain. The blank includes parts of the body that produce hormones to regulate metabolism, growth and development, tissue function, sleep, mood, and other aspects of the body. And which system is that? Is that the endocrine system, the hormonal system, the cardiac system, or the muscular system? And in our readings, we talked about that. That's A, your endocrine system. Choosing not to eat for long periods can slow your metabolic rate. This practice is called hunger, starvation, fasting, or gluttony. And we've been talking about that. That is practice of fasting. So when you're skipping those meals and you're not eating for a long period of time, you might think that you are going to lose weight because you're burning calories, but what your body does is it just slows its metabolic rate down. Obsession is an emotional state in which something seems so important that you are always eating it, thinking about it, talking about it, dreaming about it. And from the definition, that was B, thinking about it. And that completes all our keywords and this block of instruction. So hopefully you've got something out of it. We're going to be doing the calorie exercise that'll be posted in It's Learning. And then if you want to review this, the next class will be a quiz going over all the keywords.